In this tip and trick, we're going to look at how we can create non-rectangular callout boundaries. I'll start by executing the callout command on the View tab. I'll set my scale and type from the Properties palette and Options bar. Then I'll come in here and draft a callout boundary around the rooms I wish to define. Now that I have the callout boundary in place, you'll notice that in the browser it generated a view. I'm simply going to rename the view to something more appropriate. Nothing new so far. However, I want to generate a callout boundary that will actually follow the shapes of the rooms I wish to enlarge. What I mean by that is I want to exclude this hallway in the callout boundary. So I'll have to replace the original callout boundary with something more elaborate. But before I do so, I'm going to go and take a look at what's generating the graphics of this callout boundary. To do that, I'll head to the Manage tab on the ribbon and select Object Styles. Callouts are annotation objects, which are datum elements to Revit. So I need to switch to the Annotation Objects tab. Callout boundaries are made up of two categories: the callout head, which is the little circle out here, and the callout boundary itself, which also has a subcategory for the leader line. So the one thing I want to look at here is the callout boundary. It's actually using a line weight of 8, a color black, and a dash dot 3/16 inch line pattern. I'm also going to take a look at the callout tag itself. To do that, I'll go to the Additional Settings menu and select Callout Tags. You'll notice this parameter corner radius, 1/8 inch for the value, is basically creating this fillet on the corner of the boundary. Now that I know this information, I can generate a new type of line style to basically stand in for my original callout. So we need to make the line style. We'll go back to Additional Settings and select Line Styles. You'll notice there are already existing subcategories for the lines category. We're just going to add a new one called Callout Boundary Custom. With my new subcategory of my line style here, I'm going to go and change the line weight to 8 and the pattern to dash dot 3/16. I'm going to select OK. And now I just simply need to hide the callout from view. The one thing you do not want to do is delete this callout boundary because it will delete the view over in the browser. I simply want to hide it in this view. So I'll select the callout boundary, right click in my view, and select Hide in View Element. It's basically not going to print, and it's temporarily hidden from view. You'll notice that if I go to Reveal Hidden Elements on the View Options bar, I can see it again if I wish to bring it back. But not at this time. What I want to do now is draft in 2D annotation information to resemble the callout boundary around the two rooms in this view. So I'll select the Annotate tab. I'll come down to the Detail panel and select Detail Line. On the conceptual panels, I'll specify Line as my tool to draw with, and the line style of Callout Boundary Custom. I'll make sure that the chain checkbox is checked on the options bar and that I have a fillet or a radius on the corners of the lines I draw. I'm going to use 6 inches so that it'll closely resemble the 1/8 inch radius of my callout tag. Then I'll just begin by drawing the shape I wish to use for my callout boundary. So I'll start and work my way around a clockwise fashion. Now that I have the callout boundary in place, I simply need to add a reference callout to take the place of the bubble I've hidden. To do that, I'll return to the View tab, select the callout tool, and choose the Reference Other View checkbox on the options bar. This will give me the option to pull down this menu here and select the enlarged restrooms view that the original callout created. Now I can come over here and just draw a simple little boundary inside the view. Once I have the boundary in place, I can modify the bubble's location and modify the boundary. To the naked eye, you would never know that that was not generated by Revit using the callout tool. Now I need to go and take a look at it in the page format. So I'll return to my Sheets area here and open up the sheet that the ground floor plan is on. Here I can actually see my custom callout boundary with my stand-in referenced callout. Now all I have to do is drag the enlarged plan onto the sheet. As expected, the callout will update with the information. However, if we look at the enlarged plan view here, we'll see that it's rectangular in shape. So with some minor modifications, I can basically mimic the shape of my callout boundary even on the enlarged plan view. So I'll right click on the viewport and activate the view. Next I'll head to the Annotate tab to the Detail panel and select the Region menu. I'll pick the Masking Region command and enter Sketch Mode. Once inside Sketch Mode, I can sketch a rectangular area around the place that I want to mask. But I want to make sure that my boundary line style is set to invisible lines. Now that that's been accomplished, I can draw my rectangular shape and finish the sketch. Now I can right click and deactivate the view and review the results. One last thing I can do is turn off the visibility of the crop region. And perfect. This has been another tech tip for Revit.